What's going on, everybody? Ronnie DiMaggio here, product specialist at BMW of Morristown, and in today's video we're going to be using this 2023 BMW X7 to go over our top 5 tips and tricks on iDrive 8. So iDrive 8 is BMW's latest and greatest infotainment system. It is found in the 23 X7, of course, the iX, the i4. It will be seen in the new 7 Series. The 2023 BMW M3 is getting iDrive 8, as is the 2 Series Coupe. And it will eventually find its way into all of the models. The new X1 is getting it. So it is BMW's new infotainment system. So if you're a BMW enthusiast, or if you plan on buying any BMWs in the future, it's something you're going to want to get familiar with, or perhaps more importantly, you already own a 2023 X7, iX, i4. Hopefully it will give you some tips and tricks that you can use the next time you go outside and hop in your car. You'll be using some of the stuff we tell you. So like I said, we're just going to be going over our top features and tips and tricks on how to get the absolute most out of iDrive 8, how to use it the most easily, the most efficiently, and to get the most out of BMW's system. It's a really good system, and so getting familiar with it, using some of these tips and tricks will help you use it more effectively. So with that said, let's hop inside and we'll start going over some tips and tricks. All right, so here we are inside of the 2023 X7. We're going to get right into it with our first tip, and that would be to configure your home screen. Now, this might sound a little bit rudimentary. If you're familiar with iDrive 8 already, you probably already have your home screen configured, but you'd be surprised how many people just jump in and don't realize or don't take the time to configure the home screen. So this is, of course, your home screen, and you can configure it by pressing down on one of these tiles with your finger and then moving it around. So why is this important? Well, because by default you have navigation, media, and telephone, or a different combination of those 3 icons somewhere in this home screen when the car ships from BMW. Let's say you're not using media or telephone or navigation very frequently. Maybe you're somebody that uses CarPlay for navigation. You're never using this built-in nav. You can just hold down on it, get it out of there, maybe press the X to just eliminate it completely, and you can have something that you might find more useful on your home screen. And it's nice to have the things that you use frequently on the home screen, because they're right there. Every time you start up the car, you can go right to your most frequently used app or something like that. So nice to have your home screen configured. If you ever want to add something, by the way, you can scroll all the way to the right and click Add Widget. We'll add navigation back in and slide it over to where we want. And that's how you can configure your home screen in iDrive 8, and it's something I encourage every iDrive 8 owner to do as soon as they take delivery of the car. All right, so tip number 2 is to use the shortcuts that are integrated into iDrive 8. So one of the biggest complaints that a lot of people have with iDrive 8 is that BMW did away with the hard buttons that were in this area, 1 through 8 or 1 through 7, that were your shortcuts, not just for radio, but for a phone number, an address, a setting menu, any of those things. BMW used to have buttons in this area to shortcut those. Well, a lot of people are upset that they got rid of them, but they didn't really totally get rid of them. Obviously, the hard buttons are gone, which is unfortunate, but they still found a way to integrate it into the screen, and that is by swiping down from this little white tab right up here. Swipe down, and these are your shortcuts. So right now they're all unassigned, but let's go ahead and assign one of those. So let's say we want our ambient lighting to be set to a shortcut. So we'll find it in the app section, go to interior lighting, hold down on what we want to be shortcutted. So ambient lighting, click add to shortcuts, and now there it is in our shortcuts. So wherever you are in the menu, just like with those 1 through 8 buttons, let's say you're entering in a navigation destination or something and you want to change the ambient lighting color, it's just like that. It's that easy. So not quite as convenient, I will admit, as having the 1 through 8 buttons, but it's really darn close to being just as easy. It's just quick move just like that. So you do have shortcuts integrated into the screen rather than the hard buttons. So I definitely encourage people to use those shortcuts, especially because this menu has a lot of apps in it. And if you're using something frequently, it can be kind of annoying to go in here and scroll through. There is a search bar to make things a little bit easier. But even still, it's always going to be easier to just swipe down and use a shortcut for those frequently used apps and menus. So that is tip number 2, use those shortcuts. All right, so tip number 3 is going to be relating to the climate control. So another complaint that a lot of people had when iDrive 8 debuted is that there are no longer hard buttons for the climate control. I get that. I personally am a fan of hard keys myself as well. However, you almost don't really even need hard keys for climate control because of how intelligent the auto program is for iDrive 8's climate control. So tip number 3 is going to be to use the automatic climate control. If you're somebody like me, I just don't use automatic climate control in my cars because I like to just set everything to my own preferences. I don't want the car to adjust the temperature for me. I want to do it myself. But in iDrive 8, that's not quite as easy because you have to go into the menu to adjust fan speed and stuff in the screen. So it does in some ways force your hand into using automatic climate control, but it's so good, the automatic climate control, that even I, somebody who doesn't like auto climate, would use it. So to do it, it's super easy. Click climate menu and switch on auto, set your temperature, and you're done. You can adjust the fan speed if you want to, but you really don't even have to because it will do that for you. And the reason I say that it's really important to do this is because the auto climate control in this car is more intelligent than any car that I've been in myself. You set your temperature once and you literally never have to adjust the climate control again. One of our product trainers had an iX as a long-term demo car, and he told us this trick to kind of circumvent the objection to the removal of hard buttons for climate control. He told us to always recommend people use auto because the auto is so smart. He said he sets his to 71, or he did it once when he picked up the car and he's never touched it again. It'll change the fan speed, the seat climate, all that stuff for you. So pick your temperature, put it on auto, and let it go. If it's really hot outside, for example, and you set it to 68, it will blast you with max AC until you get down to 68, and then it'll level down. Vice versa, if you get in the car and it's 10 degrees and you have it set to 68, it'll give you a lot of heat until it gets up to that temperature. So it's really, really smart, and it makes it really easy to not even have to worry about, oh no, there's no hard buttons anymore. Doesn't matter. Use auto climate control. It makes your life so much easier. So that is our third tip. Let's move on to number 4. All right, so our next tip has to do with this button right here on the steering wheel. This is your voice control button or your personal assistant activation button, however you want to look at it. But this is another great way to get around the removal of hard buttons. So if you're one of those people that is not a fan of the removal of climate control buttons, this button will be your best friend for adjusting climate control. But even if you don't mind the climate control removal situation, you can use this button for anything. You can use it for navigation, music, phone calls, climate, ambient lighting, windows, pretty much whatever you want to use it for, you can do with this button. It is your best friend in new BMWs. So please, please, please use this button. If you have an iDrive 8 equipped vehicle, or even if you have an iDrive 7 equipped vehicle, this button, like I said, is your best friend. It can do pretty much anything for you, but it's even more helpful in iDrive 8 because of the removal of some hard buttons. So let's do some examples. Let's say I want the fan speed to be raised a little bit. All I would have to do is press this button and tell that to the car just like this. Raise the fan speed.
I will increase the blower speed throughout the vehicle.
So hopefully you guys can hear that the fan speed got a little bit quicker, and the car also responded to me. It said I will raise the blower speed throughout the vehicle. So you can use it for climate, or if you're streaming music from your phone like I am now, you can even make song requests to the voice control button like this. Play Overtime by Cash Cash on Apple Music.
Okay, Overtime by Cash Cash. Start playback.
So it will play songs for you if you make a request like that. I want to turn that off immediately because I don't want a copyright strike. If that's a thing on YouTube, I'm not sure, but we don't want to use any copyrighted music. So you can use it for music requests. You can make phone calls. If I wanted to, I could say call whoever, contact in my phone, and the car would call them for me. If I wanted to go to a navigation destination, you don't even have to give a specific address. You can say, take me to the nearest taco restaurant, and it'll take you to a taco restaurant nearby. So this voice control button, like I said, is really helpful. You can use it for pretty much any command in the car that you want to use it for. So get used to this button if you have an iDrive 8 car and give it a try. Some people are a little hesitant because they don't think the car will recognize their voice properly. It's difficult to speak to, but as you guys hopefully heard, I spoke with my normal intonation. I spoke to it like I would speak to a person, and it recognized my commands and it responded to them appropriately. So really helpful button, and that is our fourth tip, is to use that voice control button. Let's move on to the next one. All right, so our fifth and final tip is going to have to do with the menu screen. So my understanding is that BMW designed this menu screen to look like an iPhone or an Android or the phones that we carry around all day, because it has all the apps laid out in small little icons. That's what younger people and just people in general nowadays are familiar with, and that's what they did. The problem is that when you open this menu, it can be a little intimidating. There's a lot of stuff in here, and if you're driving along and you want to change something, you have to, devote a good amount of attention here to the screen to read these letters and figure out what is going on. So that is, of course, BMW thought of that. And there are two ways to avoid that. One is to use the voice control and tell the car to do whatever it is that you were going to do in the settings yourself, or you can actually rearrange this menu screen just like you can your home screen. This is really helpful for people that don't want to divert their attention to this screen when they're driving, which should be everyone. So what you can do is just hold down on these icons just like you would on an iPhone, and you can either, well, if we hold down, we can add it to a shortcut or to gesture control, or we can just move it around by dragging it like you did the home screen or like you did for an iPhone. So what I recommend for all the iDrive 8 owners is to take the things that you use most frequently and bring them up to the top of the screen. So this top row here is just your most important and most frequently used menu items. That way you never have to go digging through this menu looking for something while you're driving, because you never want to do that. And BMW knows that. Obviously, they don't want their drivers taking their eyes off the road, so they made it easy to customize this menu, and they gave you the voice control button to boot. So two different options as far as accessing these things easily when you're driving. But I really encourage everybody to reorganize this menu to their liking, so all the most frequently used menu items are up at the top. But with that said, that is our fifth and final tip for today. So let's hop outside, give some final thoughts, and we'll wrap up. All right, so that is going to do it for this video. Those are our top 5 tips and tricks on how to get the most out of iDrive. Hopefully, if you're an iDrive 8 owner, you found something useful. Maybe you learned something that you didn't already know. If you're a future iDrive 8 owner, then you're in luck, because you just learned a bunch about how to get the most out of your new car. At least we hope so. So thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Please drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you think we deserved it. Drop a comment down below if you have any questions about this video or suggestions for future videos, some things that you guys might want to see. Let us know down in the comments. We respond to every comment. We respond to every DM on Instagram, on TikTok, Facebook, comments, stuff like that. We're super active on social media, so follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at BMW of Morristown. But that's going to do it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.